It is a cold, it's like not even 40 degrees morning in Madison. This is my actually on time, hooray for me, 13-week post. It's mostly because honestly not a whole lot has happened between today and Thursday, which is when I think I finally got around to posting the week 12 post. Yeah, not a whole lot has happened. So, but I did realize as I was combing back through the videos that there are a lot of questions that I've been missing from week to week. So I just compiled a list of those and thought I'd make this week kind of a Q&A. So the first question is, what did the gender clinic or endocrinologist say when you told them? I don't have an endocrinologist, I never have. So I didn't really have an experience of disclosing that to them. And then I don't really go to like a gender clinic either, and I'm really terrible at like maintaining an established relationship with even like a general practitioner. But I did during my physical. I had a physical because I hadn't had one in forever when I got insurance again, and I was getting established with my care provider, who I'd seen like once or twice before because she's an asthma specialist and I have asthma and some breathing issues. And I knew that I liked her, and she was also the one who helped me when I needed a note for a referral for a breast reduction. And I got really lucky, and that ended up turning into a top surgery through a series of really fortunate events. So I know I felt fairly comfortable with her. And when I told her that we were expecting, she was like, oh, that's cool. And then she just asked me some questions, just about basic health questions, and let me know about any habits that might make it more difficult to conceive. And she just gave me, some general advice, like it's never a bad idea to start prenatals and whatnot. She's nice. She's a little forgetful though. And she usually only remembers to call in like half of my prescriptions. So I'm probably not done looking for that ideal doctor yet. Another question, I guess there's sort of two questions that go together. Someone asked that, they were wanting to have, another trans guy, that they were wanting to have like bottom surgery, but they also wanted to have kids, but they were worried that they wouldn't be able to if they had a bottom surgery, and they were also worried that if they didn't have said surgery, and if they had the desire to have a baby, that didn't make them trans enough. So there's a few things to unpack there. First of all, I hate this idea of trans enough. It's really unhealthy, and it doesn't make sense. Like, nobody gets to define your transition except for you. If you say you're transgender or gender nonconforming, then you are, end of story, officially trans enough. You should never do anything to your body that you don't want to, and that doesn't improve the way that you feel about yourself and perceive yourself and handle your experience as a person in the world. So that's, I think, the first most important thing to say. And then to address the second part of the question, there are a lot of surgery options, actually. I think most people think of bottom surgery for trans guys and phalloplasty and scrotoplasty are the first things that come to mind. And those are definitely options. But there's also metoidioplasty as well. And there's options to how much you modify yourself. Like, you could get a phalloplasty, but leave the rest of yourself intact, and so you could still have then had a bottom surgery and be able to have kids. And the same is true with the metoidioplasty. Basically, as long as you have functioning ovaries and uterus, you can have children. So before telling yourself it's all or nothing, I would definitely sit and talk to a surgeon about what your options are if bottom surgery and kids are both things that you really, really want. I would not agree that they're mutually exclusive. Another person asked, when do you find out about the sex? And I would encourage you to watch my week 11 video. You can find out what the external genitalia of your baby look like at 20 weeks, but honestly, that's not always accurate. I think it's like, it ranges. Some people say it's as bad as 50-50 whether or not they can actually tell, and some people say, oh yeah, well, it's more like 80-90% accurate. I know that, for my own siblings, my parents thought my sister was a boy up until the moment she was born, so they definitely make mistakes. And regardless, like, once again, you never know what gender your child is until they tell you. And it really especially blows my mind when trans people ask me this question, because you would think that, you know, with our own experience of being misgendered and having people think they can assign things like that at birth, you would realize that you shouldn't be doing that to your own child as well. But so yeah, there's that. They can see on the ultrasound supposedly at 20 weeks, but you never know until your kid tells you. It's presumptuous to think otherwise. Next question. Did you always want kids? No, definitely not. When I was younger, I adamantly did not want kids, talked about getting sterilized. And my first child happened to me quite by accident. Definitely wasn't something I was intending for, but after my kid was born, it was wonderful. You know, I bonded to them immediately, right away. And even though at one point in my life I was like vehemently opposed to the idea of having children ever, I now cannot imagine my life without my son. And like I said, it's really, really important to me that he has a sibling. That's probably my main driving force for having a second child, is the idea of leaving Jed alone in the world when I'm gone terrifies me. Have I thought of any names? This is the next question. I have. It's really important to me to pick a unisex name. If you have suggestions for unisex names, please feel free to comment them below, because my partner likes like virtually none of the names I've come up with. I mean, he kind of likes one of them, but I've come up with like 60 names and he kind of likes one, so that's not optimistic. And he has not been great about getting around to looking them up himself, so I mean, we'll find time. We've just been very busy. But if you have suggestions, that would be great. We're definitely looking for things to consider. And another person asked me if I was planning on recording the birth. That's a good question. I actually haven't thought about it. If we did record it, it would only be for, you know, us personally as a family to keep for like posterity or whatnot. I haven't thought about it, you know. It probably will depend on the moment. You know, for somebody to be able to film it, they'd have to be a little bit removed from the experience. They'd have to be behind a camera, you know, and I don't know if anyone is A, going to even be able or available to do that, or B, if that's what they're going to want to, you know, be spending their space and time doing. And I don't know if, you know, how I'll feel in that moment. You know, maybe I'll be okay with it. Maybe in that moment being recorded would be frustrating to me. I don't know. So maybe, I guess it's a possibility. I'm leaning towards it probably wouldn't happen though. But definitely I think we're going to take lots of pictures and footage during labor and probably shortly after the baby is born. But I think during the birth, everyone's probably going to want to be fairly present. Those are all of the questions. Granted, the last time I looked was a few days ago. So if you commented a question more recently than that, I will see it and I will get to it. Just wasn't today. So yeah, I'm trying to think if I have anything else that I would add or that I think is interesting. No, not right now. If if something pops into my head, I'll include it in my next video. So I'm gonna say bye-bye for now. I have to get back inside and study, and plus it's freezing out here. So I will see you in week 14. Off.